my name is Blair, and today I'm going to be sharing with you Act 1's wrap-up. I wanted to share with you the books I've read so far this year, but I didn't know really how to set it up because there's a couple different ways you can do it. You can go monthly, you can do seasons, but I haven't posted for a very long time because of school, and so I thought I would break up the year in Act 1 and Act 2. So this is the first half of my year, the books I've read and my thoughts. So I've read a total of 26 books and I've read 2 complete series. I am uber satisfied with how many books I've read so far this year, and I'm on track to read my goal, which is 55 books. The first book I read was on my trip. So I went home to Minnesota and then I drove my family out to Vegas because they moved to Vegas, and on the trip I drove a lot, hours and hours, and I decided to listen to a couple audiobooks on my trip, so I ended up reading The Dangerous Art of Blending In by Angela Sermalis. I don't know if that's how you pronounce your name, I'm so sorry. This book is beautifully written. The Dangerous Art of Blending In is about a boy named Evan, and he's in his teenage years, and it is an LGBTQ plus book and its own voices, and it's very raw and beautiful. There are trigger warnings for abuse, and it is just gorgeous. This book was very emotional for me. I felt a very deep connection to Evan. Angela, the author of the book, is actually best friends with Jennifer Niven, and she wrote one of my favorite books, All the Right Places, so I had to read his debut novel. Most of the books on this list that I don't have physical copies of, I either listened to on Scribd or read the ebook on Scribd, so really Scribd has been saving my reading life this year. The next book I read was Beautiful Bastard by Christina Lauren. Christina Lauren wrote Autobiography and Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating. They're an amazing author duo, and I love their books. I read their entire series, and I actually have them all listed here, but we'll just go one by one. So Beautiful Bastard is a erotic romance novel, and the books are really short, and they're just perfect for if you need a quick read. They're definitely for the older teens. There's a lot of sexy times, which is just what I needed. Our main characters are Chloe and Bennett, and their best friends are the main characters of the sequel, and then all the characters, each book is like a different couple basically for the first 3, and then for the rest they kind of follow their stories continued, and so it wraps up beautifully, and I really recommend it. It's so good. The next book I read was an ebook. It was Paperweight by Meg Haston. This book is about a girl named Stevie, and she's in an eating disorder facility, so there's trigger warnings for eating disorders. Next I read Tempest and Slaughter by Tamara Pierce. This book kind of made me go into a slump. I didn't necessarily love it. It is a thick book, and it is a prequel, so I feel like if I had read the original books, then maybe I would have understood it a little better. I didn't really feel connected to the characters, and I just feel like if I had read the rest, then I would have liked it a little more. In January I decided to start the Mortal Instruments series, and I have all of them here. I read the first 2 in January, like one day after another, and I really liked them. The reason why I never got into them originally is because I didn't like third person, and then these books totally changed my perspective on third person. So this ended January. Then I read the next 4 in February. I was moving across the country, so I definitely didn't have a lot of time to read, but I was very pleased that I finished 4. I decided to read them in trilogy, like chunks, so I read the first 3 in the Mortal Instruments, then I read the Infernal Devices, then I read the second trilogy in the Mortal Instruments. So the Infernal Devices I really liked. Then at the beginning of March I decided to finish off, and I read the 3rd trilogy, City of Fallen Angels, City of Lost Souls, and City of Heavenly Fire. This book was amazing. I really enjoyed it. I mean, I loved all of them. They were so good, and I ended up listening to some podcast with Cassandra Clare, and I just fell in love with this series. I really enjoyed the main characters. I enjoyed the fantasy world. I enjoyed the urban fantasy style. It was just so delicious. Actually, I have not read The Dark Artifices yet. I wanted to give myself a break, and I ended up reading some more books, so let's dive into those. So after City of Heavenly Fire, I ended up reading the rest of the Beautiful series. So that consists of Beautiful Bitch, Beautiful Stranger, Beautiful Bombshell, Beautiful Player, Beautiful Beginning, Beautiful Beloved, and Beautiful Secret. Some of these are novellas, like novella bind-ups, so I counted them just because were at least 200 pages. I counted them in my wrap-up just because I enjoyed them thoroughly and I couldn't not read them. Sometimes you can go without reading a novella, but I just couldn't. So, like I mentioned before, this series follows multiple couples and then different branches off of those main couples. So there's like 5 couples. It's really hard to explain, but it's so good. It'll keep you reading because you want to know where they all end up. Then the next book I read in April was What I Lost by Alexander Ballard. This is another book that involves eating disorders, so trigger warning there. I really enjoyed this book. So our main character's name is Elizabeth. I really connected with Elizabeth. I think the author really wrote her well. She was flawed but unique, and she was going through so much, but you just felt for her. I just really felt a connection to the story, and I honestly can't wait to read the next book. Next, I read Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy, of course, by Cassandra Clare, Sarah Brennan, Maureen Johnson, and Robin Wasserman. So this book actually put me in a slump, just because it was a novella bind-up. We didn't have our original characters, which is just fine, but I just couldn't get into it. So this is the last book that I've read in the Shadowhunter Chronicles, but I do plan on reading the rest. Then, the book that got me out of my slump. Obviously, I've been reading a lot of fantasy, so I decided to give a contemporary a try. Cat and Meg Conquer the World by Anna Premaza. This book is a contemporary. It's kind of right in between middle grade and young adult. It's kind of like an early teen book, and I really liked it. Our main characters are Cat and Meg, and they become friends over a science project they're partnered together with, and they really bond over gaming and the internet, and it was really fun. And I also felt a really strong connection with Kat. She suffers from anxiety, and so I just really loved how the author portrayed that. The next book I read in May was The Unexpected Everything by Morgan Matson. This book I've been meaning to read forever. I bought it so long ago. Our main character's name is Andy. Her father is a politician and she's lost her mother, and she has these amazing plans for the summer. She's going to go to an internship for med school, and she has all these plans. She's going to set up her life, and then it all falls through and she ends up staying in town for the summer. And it's really fun. There's an adorable love story in it, and I loved the love interest so much. It was so adorable. Finally, the last book I read in the first act of this year was Again But Better by Christine Riccio. And if you didn't know, she's a booktuber, and she was the first booktuber I ever watched. She inspired me to make this channel, and I was so impressed with this book. It's so fun, it's so amazing. There were so many plot twists I did not expect. The love interest was fascinating. The romance it was just everything I wanted it to be, and I can't wait to read her next book. This book is actually about a girl named Shane who studies abroad, and she's in London, and she gets another chance at college in a way because her first 2 years of college didn't really go the way she wanted them to. It's just so good. I thought I knew what this book is about, but it's so much more than I thought it was, so I really recommend it. So yeah, those are all the books I read in Act 1 of this year. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you're interested in more videos, make sure to comment below and share, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!